We're going to continue where we left off here with the same project. I'm going to select my sequence in the timeline panel, go to File, Export Media. And as I mentioned in the last movie, we have two options. We have the Export button, which will allow you to render from Premiere, or you can press the Q button. And once you press that, it will open up this project in the Adobe Media Encoder. Actually, it will launch it for you as well. What the Adobe Media Encoder allows you to do is to queue different projects. Let's say you had 5 or 6 different sequences that you were working on, maybe different commercials, and you were done with all of them and you wanted to just render them while you were on break or something. You can queue them up in the Adobe Media Encoder and it could keep rendering those while you still worked in Premiere. If you render them from Premiere, you have to render one at a time. You have to render one, go back, set the other one up, render that, and the Adobe Media Encoder allows you just to queue it. And if you need to keep working in Premiere, you can, and it will also just keep rendering these tasks for you. You also can change things from the Adobe Media Encoder here. You could change the format from the format dropdown, the preset, and we could actually edit the export settings by clicking this button, and we could also change where we output the file and what we rename it here. This is also great if you wanted to change the settings. Maybe you wanted to render this for the web or something. We could select this task, and we could click duplicate, and we could change this one maybe to a different type of file. Maybe we change this one to H.264 for the internet or something. And so we have a high quality QuickTime and then a lower quality one for the web. To remove a task, just click the remove button. And once you're ready to start queuing things up and rendering, just click the Start Queue button. Now you might be wondering, why don't you use the Adobe Media Encoder all the time? Well, in CS4, the previous version of Premiere, that's all you could do. You had to use the Adobe Media Encoder, and it drove me nuts. And I actually missed some deadlines and some important projects because we had to render through the Adobe Media Encoder, which was sometimes a little bit unreliable. If you had a third-party plugin installed, sometimes it wouldn't render the video, it would crash, and it was much more frustrating than rendering from Premiere. So while the promise of what it does is much better than rendering in Premiere, it's not quite as reliable. So then you have your choice between Premiere and the Adobe Media Encoder now in CS5.